Hi and welcome to the 19th BOH Cameronian Arts Awards on set. I'm Sabrina Hassan, and with me today I'd like to welcome the nominees for Multimedia Design in the Dance category. Welcome guys. How did you get involved in multimedia design?
I think it's just like a natural extension of like my original practice. So I started by doing graphic design and video work, and just naturally it just kind of veered like a natural extension of that practice. Multimedia design. Yeah.
I am filmmaker and I work with video primarily. So then one day Rinsin approached me she's like, I think I want to include some video elements in my show. Are you interested? And and then it became a learning curve for me.
It's pretty much similar to for my side, because I initially was trained in media arts, and then we were doing projection and stuff like that. So somehow it was just a natural progression from there into sort of theatre and multimedia design.
I work as a visual artist as well, but normally my works are not really multimedia, but more in sculptures and drawing and paintings. It's also kind of a very new extensions for myself to work on something in video or digital form. Yeah.
Okay, so in schools, right, you have the art stream and you have science stream, but multimedia design is like a combination of the two, right? So how do you think? No, you don't think so?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe?
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't think it's really like science has much to do with multimedia design?
I mean, to an extent, I think there's some, but you have to do a lot of calculations and all that stuff. That's part of it. Yeah.
Calculations in terms of like
how far your projectors should be, how big the screen, It's a bunch of calculations you have to make beforehand so that you have a smooth setup in the space, otherwise you'll be, scrambling to get things.
Okay.
I think theatre performance is always combination of both. There's so many technical issues, not only on multimedia, but everything like things. It's always combination of science and art.
So, Brian, for listening body, right? How did you choose to incorporate multimedia design into the performance?
I think we set out to thoughtfully present through multimedia January's journey in rediscovering herself and her dance form as well. So I think the projection kind of set out to provide this a context to her journey, and to also give the audience access, like a point of access to her journey in terms of what she goes through. Because you see the body dancing in the space, but I think the multimedia will come in part to provide this background of what goes on behind the scenes, her interactions with her mentor, her new mentor, the whole unlearning and relearning of the dance form which she has embodied for years. So there's this step-by-step the whole dance form. You kind of can allow the audience to kind of follow her journey at the same time, and maybe also to educate the audiences as well of how elaborate and how detailed the dance form is.
I think it successfully gave you more clarity in her journey as well, whilst visually enhancing what she was doing on stage with that narration.
Yeah, it's also to choose. I mean, the challenge is to choose like how much do we show, how long do we show it for. Otherwise, because there's a lot of back and forth emails and correspondence between January and a mentor. So we have to really kind of pick and choose, like what is audio, what is projections,
For psychosynthesis, what was your process?
So usually how my collaborations work is usually I have on my own practice, I usually have some sort of theme or some sort of ideas that I already existingly want to explore. It could be technically or it could be form-wise. And usually when I work with Kenny, it's usually what happens is that we will have a first meetup, and it's very casual, and I'll just show some stuff that I'm working on, and then she will see if that is suitable for the current show or the coming show. So it's kind of like, it's very organic. It's not really sort of like, yeah, let's make a show and then, yeah. So mainly because of that, so I kind of already knew the sort of themes or the sort of ideas that I want to work on. But I would say for Psychoscenes, at the end, I think we came to the conclusion that the multimedia is pretty much like, it's just to provide that visceral element to the immediate visceral and sensory element to the performance. Yeah, as in like, of course, during the discussions I had with Kenny, we do talk about the process in terms of like, how do you work with the dancers and stuff like that. But at the end, because we were very much also working separately and then came together maybe 1 month before the show. So in the end, a lot of the decisions we were doing a lot of reductions, because in the end, we have so many things come together. And eventually the reductions is to serve for the overall experience, or it's very immediate, it's very compositional, it's very visceral and immediate. And eventually, yeah.
When you say visceral, what does that mean? Yeah.
So it's mainly, I would say it's a more immediate experience of the image and also the sound. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as in like, sometimes I think I'm a bit, my position of this is a bit mixed feelings, I guess. Because sometimes there are some visuals that just work immediately. For example, like a white strobe, but you have to have a big enough screen to do that.
Okay.
But you have a white strobe and a big enough screen, it just works because of the impact and the scale of it. But then how do you put that, how are you going to force that kind of visual into the dance? Is it suitable or not? That kind of thing. But I think for Kenny's work, so happened that kind of approach that I have fits Psychoscene. So yeah, visual here, I guess, is just, what I mean is very immediately, visually and audially stimulating.
Moi, what about you?
1-0, I mean, we started actually as a temporary collective. So the collective was formed by me as a visual artist, and then a dancer, and a music composer. So basically, we discuss, and then we have a common agreements about like what is this show's about. And then since then, we developed our own practice in separately. So it's more on like work in a collective to build up the contents. And then I mean, as visual artist, I have to say I'm not very familiar with this is kind of like my first approach on these kind of mediums. But I quite liked the idea about like all these kind of time-based mediums, like how it changed and how it evolved or in the show. So, and it creates different possibilities. Even every night they have something different. So this is what we aim and what we try to work. So even when in the shows, we also have we're more on thinking about like, of course, the contents. I mean, is done by myself, but in the discussions, we're more on thinking like how we treat these mediums as part of the concept. So in the shows, we have a big screen with projections and a dancer, but at the same time, the projections also change based on the movements. So they have some interactive things works on it. So for me, it's more like a dance duet instead of just a background. Yeah. So the dancer changed, the dancer dance, and it changed the video, and at the same time, the dancer had to respond to the video. Yeah. So for me, I'm more interested on like how to look at this form. I mean, I think time is something that I really want to present. I mean, in this this production. Yeah.
How did that start? Was it the choreography that started first for you, or the design?
We start because we got different parts in the performance. Some we start from the music, some we start from the video, but not like really video. Like even our working is very analog. Like oh, I'm going to do this. Like and it's not a story. Also the video. So I just like telling them using my own very draft drawing to show them, and then I think the dancer tried to understand about the concept, and then he worked on his choreography, and then different parts I think have different process, which this is really interesting. Like sometimes I saw the choreography and then I changed my contents of the video or something like that.
So yeah, Chloe, can you tell us a bit about your process and how you developed multimedia design?
Well, working with Rensin is really interesting because she's the type of artist that it always feels like she's always developed, like her work is always developing. It's not always like a fixed like a concept and then we, she wanted to make a show and I'm part of it, but the process is always changing and there's always like something new that we would be learning, that I would be learning. And then when I approach it, the way I approach it is because I didn't really start out as like a theater designer or like designer for theater, so I approach it in a filmmaking way. So the thing that like really I think I focused even like from Anggota 1 was to focus on figuring out who Rensin is and who Bihang is, and the process kind of start from there. And then supposedly we were supposed to make visuals for the show, but I think it's quite similar to Mo-E as well, that for me is like it has to kind of like be like
Interactive or
I mean interactive is it could be the right word, but like it could be just like I don't know, like because like what Brian said, like it's supposed to be like bring some context to what Rensin is trying to find out. And for me the camera has always been like a very like magical device that shows you something that you don't see, or like you don't like shows you something that you don't notice. So like I was kind of hoping that the process would bring us there, if that makes sense. If that's too abstract, but yeah.
I think the filmmaking skills that you have really lead to a different style in the presentation of the multimedia. I think it's like very apparent. Yeah. So which comes to my next question. What are the things that influence you as a multimedia designer?
I think for my practice, or maybe this is true for everybody, I think the access to the internet, right now I can just search for a keyword and then everything comes out, right? So I think now it's much more easily accessible, this kind of references or this kind of content, right? And I don't actually have a specific art form or some sort of a specific thing that I'm drawn to, but in general, usually what I'm interested in is a kind of feeling of awe. Sometimes when you see a work, there's that minimal meditative element, but there's also that I don't know what's the word. It's called 沉浸式 in Chinese. I think it means immersion or something like that. Immersion, right? Yeah, there's that element to it, and those kind of experiences. Yeah, it's something that I try to navigate my work towards lah. Where either it's successful or not, it's a different story. But yeah, that's something that
So does AI help you in your work? Like, can you just type it up in some kind of a software?
It can probably provide like something to work to start with, but then the final outcome would be something completely different. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's helpful in a way to just get things started. If you just I don't know how to start, you can use AI to just give it a kickstart it, and then from there you might go different branches.
What about social media? How does that impact your work?
I'm not very I mean, when we do the productions, because I also, as a production manager of the show, I mean, I'm really not familiar with social media. I mean, we always thought like, just put video like, 30 seconds or 5 seconds, but turned out it's not about video actually. It's about, what's the public want to see, what attract them, what kind of music it will hit more followers. So I found it, I think this is something that very interesting when we approach multimedia. It's something that, not everyone can do, but it's also something that everyone can do. Like everyone can comment about it, can work on it, yeah. So, this is what social media works like, but it's, for me, I'm more interested on like, how this works, like how it become a behavior of, I mean, as a visual artist, we're so interested on this, like it became a behavior of visual experience, of visual cultures that people like to see this, and this is a lot of argument with the, we have video editor, and they will tell me like, no one's going to see this, don't use your music, no one's going to, it doesn't work in social media, yeah. So it's totally different, yeah, but it's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I guess the really interesting thing about theatre that I learned in my experience is like really, I mean, it really goes back to like, if what inspires me, I think it will be, I don't know if this is cliche as a filmmaker, but like what inspires me is people. So
Yeah.
But it's true. Yeah, it's true. So like because people are, there's like a whole, and because like just now when I mentioned that the camera is so magical, the camera doesn't lie for me. Like if you use it in the right way, and like if you extend it to theater where it has to be live, and and we see a person, like everything about them kind of like unveil in real time, and that's kind of like it's amazing. Like it's not, because you can't edit in in live theater, so like yeah, I edit my videos, but whatever that happens on stage will change, and I think that's what's really amazing about like working with Rinsin and stuff. Like there's always change. Yeah.
So you have to adapt to that change, or?
Yeah. It's, I mean, adapt is a good word, but like I feel like it was because it feels like, yeah, I'm yeah, I don't know how to
Part of
say.
the process?
Adapt, yeah.
So, talking about multimedia design, right? Budget. Because usually when you're talking about projection, LED screens, if you're using them, projectors, the number of projectors that you're incorporating into a performance, how much does that influence your design?
A lot. Yeah, because I've worked in really small productions where there's no budget to get like a proper large venue projectors. So you have to make do with really small projectors, then you have to figure out, how do I make this work? Or how do I change the design so that this not ideal setup would work in the space? So yeah, it's a big deal. But I'm quite new in the industry, but I've worked in quite a number of projects where very limited budget for projectors and all, but LED screens and whatnot. Though recently I've worked on one where there is budget. Well, it started off with no budget, and then they saw what the output from the no budget. So like, okay, let me get better projector, a lot better projector, and then it's like, oh, it makes a world of difference. Well, but then I also like the idea of to have that kind of limitation to work against, to grind against, which it gives me, opportunities to explore design.
But then it's also nice to have that bigger budget as well.
For sure. It makes a lot of difference. Like you have the budget for a projector appropriate for it, so the venue size and the surface that you're projecting on. Yeah, for sure.
AI is developing at a rapid speed now. So do you think that it is useful? Or do you think that AI is scary?
I think with everything, it comes with the territory where we have to understand it before we can decide whether we want to work with it or whether we don't. So, yeah, I think for me, it's just that. And
So understanding it first. I like that approach.
yeah.
Yes. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I agree that you gotta know what is it, what can it do, what can it not do. But I think AI is just another tool in the toolkit, in the toolbox to create works, to explore the medium. Yeah.
Do you think this is an opportunity for more people then to come into as multimedia designers because of because there is AI?
I mean, if you're talking about the technical barrier of making videos, yeah, for sure, that it will make people easier. But I think at the end, it's still the sensibility that you have, right? But for sure, AI is useful and scary at the same time. Yeah, if you see the new Sora algorithms, it's so scary. You just prompt, the video comes out, it's like, wow.
Okay, I have to try that. Because I tried that, but I don't know anything about it. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, but yeah, you always have to. I think the sensibility comes to it, understanding. Once you understand it, I think you hone the craft much better. Yeah, so definitely understanding.
Yeah.
Also, maybe it's our responsibility to understand the implications of being able to prompt and.
But sometimes you just want to.
Is it our responsibility? Like
It comes from understanding, right?
Yes,
the tool itself.
Yeah.
Like, where is it getting the materials to create, to generate all these
Yes,
things that
yeah.
you're
So
getting the prompts from? So.
I'm not very familiar with AI. I mean, I because I was in the art education as well. So I think, yeah, I mean, I quite agree with for me, it's still a tool. It's really useful, and it makes your creative process actually faster. But I don't think it's limitations. Yeah, but I think for me, it shows us more the sensibilities that what Phong mentions. It becomes something more important rather than you're very good in skill or very good in technical things. Yeah. So as an art practitioners, I think the humanities, I mean, is something that it kind of like gives us a not warning maybe too heavy, maybe like awareness, like this is something that actually it should be more important now. Yeah, what you care and then what you sense about. Yeah, so because everything about even any visual effect or any beautiful things you can achieve just like that. Yeah, but what is behind that? Yeah, so yeah, I think I don't think it's scary, but when we feel scary, it's because we haven't understand fully about the tools. Yeah.
Yeah, the potential that
The potential.
of the tools that they're coming up. Yeah, but I guess as everyone said, the tools don't make the artist.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a
I
good
mean,
point. Yeah.
I mean, it's not just with AI. Even me, sometimes I'm scared of what I'm putting out and what I'm capturing. So it's not even there's a danger to that, and that we have to be careful about. So
It's like your responsibility as an artist as well.
in a way, but so I guess it extends to AI too. Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, guys, and congratulations again on your nominations.
Thank you very much.
This has been On Set. Thanks for joining us.